It's that time of the week again. Varsity Sports Live, high school football from across North and South Dakota. I'm Jason Andera. My colleague Tom Neiman is out again, so you're stuck with me and Jody Norstedt in North Dakota. Tonight in North Dakota, quarterfinal games were happening in AAA. Those games have all gone final. We'll have highlights of all the North Dakota highlights coming up in just a bit, but we're going to start the show off with the quarterfinals in all 7 classes in South Dakota, which happened last night. And to get things started, let's go to Howard Wood Field, where the number 1 seed in 11 AAA took on Aberdeen Central in the first play from scrimmage. Brady Dannenbring hooks up with the sophomore Mike Paulson for 98 yards and a touchdown. So just as this game gets started, the Riders get out to an 8-0 lead. They went for 2, by the way. They were going against the wind, didn't want to kick it. And on their next drive, didn't waste much time. The junior, Jaden Bourne, 17 yards over the goal line. And again, they go for 2, and again, they make it. They're up 16-0. This could get out of hand, but look at this. Dylan Stabner, 43-yard touchdown run, and they're back in the game, 16-7. But Roosevelt would add a couple touchdowns before Carter Hogue punches it in for the Golden Eagles, cutting it to 27-14. But from there on out, the Riders kept it going. There's Jaden Bourne's second touchdown just in the second quarter. And then it was Aaron Kusler on the bad snap on the punt. He doesn't just fall on it, he picks it up and he takes it to the house. Number 8 gets 6 points for the Riders. And then more Kusler. He is the quarterback in the Wildcat offense, and I wouldn't want to tackle that thing. Look at that. He's going about 40 miles an hour down the field. He will hit you hard. Nobody can touch him. He gets the touchdown, and the Roosevelt Rough Riders get the 55-14 win. Their junior running back, Jaden Bourne, looked healthy again, 161 yards and 2 touchdowns. Their junior quarterback had a nice night passing as well. And their sophomore receiver, Tyler Feldkamp, also had a big night. After the game, we talked to the Riders.
Last year didn't go how we wanted, but this year I think learning from last year, we had a good team, and again we have a good team, so we can't let that get to our heads. We need to keep playing hard, keep practicing hard, and keep doing the best we can, and fight.
We're still playing, that's all that matters. Aberdeen gave us a good test. They played really well, turned the ball over a few times and got a touchdown and a safety. Really a big momentum builder for our offense, and we have to work together like that to play well.
No problem for the number 1 seed, the Riders. Let's check out the number 2 seed, Sioux Falls O'Gorman, as they host Lincoln on the night. A little to the left here to Canyon Bauer, and he does the rest of the work. Zach Norton's first touchdown throw of the night, and they've figured the left works. Let's try the right. Same play, ditto. Canyon Bauer down the line, doesn't step out of bounds, and a couple of offensive explosions in the first quarter for the Knights, and they get up quickly, 14-0. Then Bo Blunt gets in on the action. It shouldn't all be Bauer, should it? Blunt didn't have a lot of touchdowns on the year, but on this night, 2 big touchdowns for Bo, and the scoring kept on going. Zach Norton, as I mentioned, had 5 touchdown passes on the night. There's the second one to Bo Blunt, and this thing is getting out of hand quickly. Lincoln can't get much going together. And look at that, the Sioux Falls O'Gorman Knights score 76 points. The previous school high was 69 points in a game. They absolutely exploded. Their backups came in this game and did a great job. You see Tegan Schlimgen, their backup quarterback, ran for 105 yards and 3 touchdowns, so no problem for the Knights. Let's check out the number 3 seed as we head out to Brandon for Rapid City Central in Brandon Valley. We got to this game a little bit later. Jesse Steffel had already put on a show, having 4 touchdowns rushing, but Mark Muchilnas, I hope I said that right, Mark, the sophomore, takes a 34-yard punt return all the way back to the house, and they were already up 33-0 before that happened. That's 40-0 now. And then Muchilnas gets the carry on this one, and he drove the team all the way down the field. They eventually got it to Devin Jones, who capped off the touchdown, and they were already on the second string and not having any problems whatsoever. They totally rolled in this one, 47-8, no problem for the Lynx. and they get by the Cobblers. The Cobblers had won a couple games down the stretch, but just not enough in this one to compete with the Brandon Valley Lynx. So no problem for the top 3 seeds. Let's check out the 4th seed now. The Sioux Falls Washington Warriors, and in this game, Tupac Capella needed just 86 yards to become the all-time leader in rushing yards in 11-man football. Here's Brandon Flory. He is back for Watertown. He was out with an MCL injury. Not a great welcome as Robert Doherty picks that one off. And then Tupac in the first quarter, 9-yard touchdown run gets Washington up 7-0. And another little dose of Tupac Capella. He only needs about 30 more yards to break the record, but why not get a 56-yard run? He takes the record. He ended up with 116 yards in just the first quarter of this game. They wanted to make sure he got the record, and he definitely did. That set up Jaden Johansson to Gabe Pearson, and they're up 14-0. Washington rolling in this one earlier. Their defense played well too, but their quarterback, Jaden Johansson, recently has been kind of a monster running the football. 13-yard touchdown. They're up 21-0, and then Jaden does it again. All of a sudden, Jaden Johansson collecting big chunks of yards, 25 yards down to the 1-yard line, and he would cap this thing off, tossing it to Tyus Hansen in the end zone, who comes up with the touchdown. And like I said, the defense played a great game. The offense played a great game. Washington puts up 49 on the Arrows. This was a 4-5 battle, maybe the expected closest game of the first round in 11 AAA, but the Warriors had no problem. Let's hear from them.
They're a big physical team, and we knew coming in that we'd have to play a better game, and we were worried, the physicality, who have we played, have we gotten better, and I think tonight we really did. We were really good up front, and both offensively, defensively. I thought our defense played lights out. I mean, they couldn't move the ball, and so I'm very proud of our defensive guys. They really showed tonight that they can play at a high level.
It's a great win for us. We've been practicing really hard. We were pushing our pace during practice this whole week. We knew they were going to come out tough, and we knew we had to come out on fire. So winning that's a big thing for us. It means a lot, but at the end of the day, our O-line did everything. They made a big hole, and I was just following them. So we all racked it up. We all made that rushing record possible.
So Tupac firmly in the record books now with career touchdowns, career rushing touchdowns, career rushing yards, and he's got his team in a rematch against Roosevelt. They played for the title last year, earlier this season, back in September at the President's Bowl. Roosevelt had no problem, 29-0. And on the other side of the bracket, another big revenge game as O'Gorman takes on Brandon. They played just a couple of weeks ago, and Brandon absolutely took it to the night. So it'll be interesting to see how those games go on in Sioux Falls next Friday night. On to some AA football in 11-man. And this was the game I had my eye on, Huron and Harrisburg. We got to this one late. We'll pick it up with Huron leading 14-7. Look at that, Chipper Schillingstad is back. Nice catch by Chipper. And then Kobe Bush makes one downfield. They're trying to steal this game with less than 2 minutes to go. And the defense of Harrisburg is trying to keep him out of the end zone to get one more chance. They stop Jet McGurr on that one, and then Jim Nebelsick wrangles him before he can get in the end zone, and then they flush Jet McGurr out of the pocket on this last drive of the game to try to stay in the game. But look at that. Jet McGurr finds his way into the end zone, his 3rd touchdown, 2nd rushing touchdown of the game, and the Huron Tigers pull off the mild upset. They already had beaten Harrisburg earlier in the year, but not many people expected them to do it again. Huge win for the town of Huron. Let's hear from Michael Schmitz and his players.
This is huge for our program because Huron hasn't had a playoff win in a very long time. We haven't had a home playoff game, let alone a playoff win. So this is massive. The kids know the level of it, but yet they're ready to go to work next week.
I mean everything. Huron hasn't been in the Dome or even winning a state playoff game in forever. And to really drive our seniors there, they really carry our team and they're the heart. And I'd love to get to the Dome just for them.
It's a very surreal feeling. It was a great team win. Everybody was together, stayed together the whole time. Our defense played together, showed out again. I mean, you can't ask more from your brothers on the field. It's a great feeling.
Well, that's the only one we had highlights of in 11AA. Pierre had no problem with Spearfish taking them out. Brookings and Mitchell was close for a while, but look at that. Brookings gets revenge on Mitchell and advances to the semifinals. Meanwhile, Sturgis Brown and Yankton This was an epic game where Yankton was down a couple of linemen and had a few injuries to work around, but Sturgis came out and absolutely had the lead late in this game before a big field goal to win it from Cade Koletsky helps Yankton advance to the semifinals, where they're going to get to play a home game against Huron, and these are both rematches of regular season games. Yankton and Pierre won those regular season matchups. Those semifinal matchups coming up on Saturday. We'll talk more about that later in the show. All right, let's move on to 11A football. St. Thomas More made the trip across the state to play Dakota Valley, and starting out in the first quarter, it was Sam Chesterman with a 34-yard touchdown run, putting them up 6-0. It started to rain a little bit here in North Sioux City. Got sloppy, but Nate Rice knows what to do when it gets a little sloppy. He just runs the football. 79 yards in the rain. He ended up with over 300 yards rushing for the quarterback. They're up 12-3, but this is not one-sided. St. Thomas More's junior quarterback, Ryder Kirsch, he played some heroics last year when they went on the road and beat Del Rapids in the first round of the playoffs. This year, hits his main receiver, Grant Huber, for 76 yards. They're back in at 12-9, but the ensuing kickoff by Zion Robinson, he's going to take it to the house. They ended up taking a 19-9 lead. Later in the game, it was close, 25-23, 32-30. But then at the very end, Dakota Valley pulls away for the victory. As you see there, Nate Rice, 319 yards rushing. And Dakota Valley wins and advances to the next round, which sets up the bracket, which they had a couple surprises. They get to play Del Rapids. A lot of people thought it was an automatic, Madison versus Dakota Valley, but after Madison got a lead in this game, Del Rapids came back, scored all their points in the second half, and advanced to the semifinals. West Central went on the road to beat Todd County. Not a huge surprise, but that sets a pair of rematches in this one as well, where T takes on West Central and Del Rapids plays Dakota Valley. Both of those two teams played each other on the opening day, so almost 2.5 months later, they're going to see a little rematch of that one in Class 11A. That is it for the top 3 classes in South Dakota. We'll get to the smaller 4 classes who are into their second round of playoffs. A lot of great stuff coming up next on Varsity Sports Live.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Avera Orthopedics, Farmers Union Insurance Agency, South Dakota State University, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. All the high school football you can handle over the next hour. And I miss Tom Neiman too. He's not here, but he will be back for semifinal week next week. He's on the road with the Jacks. And remember, Jody Norstedt and all the North Dakota action that happened tonight and that's coming up tomorrow is going to be taken care of here in just a few minutes. So we're going to get to the rest of South Dakota right now, 11B and all the 9-man ranks, and find out how the quarterfinals went. Let's start in 11B with Sioux Falls Christian and Winter, a rematch of the opening week game where it was all Sioux Falls Christian. But on this night, defense set the tone. Mitchell Walker sacks Winter in the backfield, and we're already in the second quarter. More defense, big tackles. Not much to show as far as big offensive highlights, but defense was definitely the name of the game here. And here's Colin Rietzma with a huge stop. By the way, Sioux Falls Christian only had 1 possession in the entire first half. This, by the way, happened with just seconds left in the first half. Trevor Peters finally gets in. They do not convert, 6-0. Then the passing attack starts. Mulder to Parker Nelson, advances it down the field. Maybe we have a red zone opportunity finally for the Sioux Falls Christian Chargers. Parker Nelson will finish the drive. Just 1:05 left in the third quarter, and it is only 6-6. This one was tight. Much different than the first time these two teams met. Then a muffed snap, mishandled. Zach Whitty recovers, and right at the end of the third quarter, Sioux Falls Christian takes over. They drive, and Dawson Mulder bulls his way into the end zone. They take a 12-6 lead. They're going to go for 2 here. They're going to go for 2. They want to get an 8-point lead, and Dawson Mulder does the exact same thing. He falls in the end zone. They're up 14-6. Winner's got one chance left to tie this thing. Brady Fritz finds his man, Trevor Peters. They give him a touchdown on that. No, they don't. He's down to the 1-yard line. Peters gets the ball and he finishes what he started. It's 14-12. They're down by 2. Of course they're going to go for 2. But look at this. A team effort by the Sioux Falls Christian Chargers. Winner says they have it. Mitchell Goodberry says no. Mitchell Goodberry's right. Last drive of the game. Mitchell Goodberry seals the deal. Picks one off. Secures the 2-point win for Sioux Falls Christian, and they're advancing to the semifinals. What an exciting game. Two teams that have been very good in this class for the past couple of years. And after the game, we talked to a couple seniors from Sioux Falls Christian and their coach.
Well, I mean, our second half was really huge. We came out, we made a few adjustments on the offensive end. We hit him in the mouth and put a few long drives together and scored touchdowns. So I think our focus up front was a lot better. Our guys were talking on the line, hitting people low and driving them off the ball, and that opened up holes for me and Parker to hit. So
we stepped it up. Again, we were talking. It's all about communication with us, and our line was talking. They were eating up blocks on both sides. We were getting low, driving off, and that's ultimately what did it for us. I saw the single flex on the right side. He came inside the corner there, and I kind of waited, baited the quarterback into throwing that, and as soon as he released it, then I kind of stepped to the right and got that.
I probably got about as fired up as I have all year, and we went into the locker room and said, guys, they are out physicaling us, and we're usually dealing with it the other way around. Usually we're the team that gets after people, and it took us a while to figure that out, and we had to make a few adjustments, and the adjustments worked, and our kids got after it, and we're ready to play some football in that second half. We have had the toughest road in the playoffs. We had to go beat Beersford last week, and we were down 21-6, so we were used to that. We had to come away tonight down 6-0, and then try to put some possessions together. So it makes us a better football team because we're used to playing 4 quarters, and that's the thing that's been good for us because we've had to play 4 quarters the last 3 or 4 weeks.
So a tight win for Sioux Falls Christian gets them to the semifinals. The other 3 quarterfinal games, not so tight. Bridgewater, Emory Ethan, Mount Vernon, Plankinton, and Canton all getting it done, which sets up a fantastic Final Four. Can't wait for that one on Saturday. Let's move to the 9-man classes now, starting with the largest class, 9AA. Wolsey Wessington has been the team to beat all year long. They went up against Trey King and Irene Makonda, a team that made it all the way to the Dome last season. Lyndon Williams didn't waste much time. He gets a touchdown right away in this thing to go up 8-0. And just to beware, there's going to be more Lyndon Williams in this highlight. Trey King, touchdown on his first place from scrimmage. I think we got a track meet, 8-6. Wolsey Wessington has the lead, but man, we've got star power on the field with Trey King and Lyndon Williams, a little back and forth. Devontae Llewellyn, another guy who can get it done for the Warbirds. Doesn't take long to score. That put them up 16-6. Then look at this, a nice little running kick. Diedrich Oft comes up with the recovery. They're up 22-6 at the end of that. There's Oft right there at the end of that drive. And then Irene Makonda's Gabe King. Hey, he's not Gabe. Trey King finds his man, number 28, Brandon McDonald, for the touchdown, but more Lyndon Williams on the other way, and by this time, things got out of hand a little bit, 44-14. That was a huge run by Lyndon Williams, and they continued to pour it on. No problem in this one, 78 points. They got it done, and their coach, Gordon Hooks, explains exactly how that happened.
Well, I think Lyndon was challenged. Everyone wants to talk about Trey King, who's a great athlete. We found that out tonight. He's a great player, but Lyndon wanted to show people what he's made up to. So he wanted to make sure he matched 12, and all game long, it was his job to spy him and chase him. I thought he did a great job on defense of doing that. And on offense, Lyndon's explosive. You open holes up for him, and he can take it to the house every play, and you've seen that.
Today, we made a pact. We said, if the linemen have 10 pancakes in the morning, and they definitely had more than 10 pancakes out there. The linemen did wonderful. There's wonderful holes. All I did was run through them. I mean, I get the glory, but really they were the ones that did the dirty work. They're the ones that got me in the end zone, and they're the ones that did everything for me to have a good game.
Get the maple syrup out. Pancakes for everybody. Gregory and Bonham, a rematch of a game earlier this year that was 7-6. And in this one, right away, first possession, Nate Shazinski catches the pass from Joey Slama for the touchdown. They would get the point after, and they're up 7-0. Nate scored 7 points the entire game last time, and on the first possession, they already have 7. But look at this, the answer, right away. Caleb Stukel finds a hole, takes it all the way down the field. He converts, but speaking of converts, the conversion was no good, and it's 7-6, the exact same score of the entire game last time they played. And then the defenses decide to show up. John Kubal with a huge sack on a 3rd and 8. And then late in the third quarter, we advance. Christian Eaker scores a touchdown. It's not 7-6 anymore, finally. They're up 14-6. But on the very next drive, Coy Detterman, the freshman quarterback, lofts one up for Caleb Stukel, who comes down with a touchdown. Again, this is going to come down to conversions. They're going to go for 2 to try to tie this ball game after they're down 14-12. Let's see what happens. Jeremiah Beck is stood up at the line, and Bottom's defense comes up big. It's 14-12. And then to seal the ball game, Gregory tries to make a comeback. Nate Shazinski says, no way, this game is ours on our home field. And the Cavaliers get it done twice against Gregory this season, a 14-12 win. Absolutely great game between two awesome teams in 9AA. And after the game, the Cavaliers were relieved.
Right away, I thought it was going to be a track meet, but then both defenses stepped up, and it was 7-6 again for a while.
I thought, man, I didn't relax hopefully too much. Then they hit us with that long one to the Stukel kid, and bam, there we go again. So, as far as the turning point, that's a proud team over there and a great, well-coached team, and we kind of knew, they're going to battle. And, I respect their program. I feel it's too bad somebody had to lose. That's a great bunch of kids, a great bunch of coaches.
Oh, definitely two great teams playing in a quarterfinal game. Here's two more great teams. Webster area heading into Garrettson to try to give the Blue Dragons their first loss of the year, but it was Cole Skadson who would take the handoff. He gets tripped up a little bit, but he would not go down all the way to the end zone, and Garrettson is up 7-0. Then Braden Holland, he got it done through the air, he got it done on the ground, gets one in on the sneak, and Webster answers with a touchdown of their own. Brennan Mutter says, anything you can do, I can do just as well. Touchdown for Garrettson, and they keep the pace. Hayden Parrott adds on to their score, and this thing's getting out of hand, 28-6. Garrettson. Webster says, I don't want to let this get out of hand. Let's give it to our senior, Caden Gaikowski, who can just take people down, brushes them aside for the touchdown. All of a sudden, they're back in this game, down only 28-20 late in the third quarter. However, look at that, a snap over his head. Hayden Parrott comes up with it, and from there on, the Blue Dragons continued to pile it on, and they get a 44-29 victory. Blue Dragons stay undefeated. After the game, Chris Long comments.
Every week we've showed up and played some pretty good football. And so I think the fact that we're some balance, we can throw the football a little bit, we can run the football a little bit, and then we kind of have a defense that can get after you a little bit. We're not necessarily going to be stingy, but we make it hard for you at times, and I think if we can keep doing that, I think the consistency that we're displaying there is the difference right there.
The 1-9AA game we did not have highlights of was Kimball White Lake taking out number 2 Arlington Lake Preston. I wasn't shocked by that, but a lot of people were, because Arlington Lake Preston had their first loss of the year, which sets up an absolutely terrific semifinals. Wolsey Wessington Bonham played to double overtime last time they played, and Kimball White Lake and Garrettson haven't seen each other this year, but two very good 9AA teams. Move on to 9A. The game of the night was Howard playing at Warner. And the Monarchs in the first quarter could not stop Gavin Erickson Reisdorfer, who makes the touchdown. They got the 2-point conversion, which, trust me, it's key. He got that 2-point conversion for an 8-0 lead. Warner does respond with Jackson McNeil, who powers up the middle. They did not go for 2. They went for 1, and they got it. So it was 8-7 at that point, and you know what? It stayed 8-7 the entire game. A little help from Wyatt Larson on the interception, but not enough to put the Monarchs ahead of the Tigers. And Howard, known for their offensive prolific machine on offense, only putting up 8 points but getting the win. And that's a look at 9A. We have an interesting bracket in 9A to take a look at. Timberlake got it done. Played a little better than they did that first round. They're going to be the host against Canastota Freeman, who has to travel, I think, about 5 hours to make it all the way to Timberlake. And then Britton Heckla, undefeated this year, haven't lost since the first game of last season, taking on Howard. In 9B, Castlewood and Wall. Wall is undefeated. We haven't had a chance to see them very much. Last year at this exact same point in the season, Castlewood absolutely crushed Wall, and they were looking for some revenge, but Jacob Bielmeyer finds Bridget Amiel to get a 7-0 lead, and then Cooper McConaughey runs one in from 6 yards, and they're up 14-0 quickly in this one. Just 11 seconds left in the first half. Brandon Beneke, look at that, he hits Noah Wiersma for the catch. We gotta look at that again. Did he catch that? Look at this. Between the legs, cradles it. Yes, he's got it. Touchdown. Huge catch for Noah Wiersma, and they go for 2, don't make it, down 14-6. And speaking of amazing catches, look at this. Mystery receiver catches it in the dark corner of the end zone, and evidently it's a touchdown. 14-12, but Bielmeyer in the second half is out with cramps. Their backup quarterback, Cuny, is in, and he gets a sneak in, putting them up 21-12. Later, Braden McDonald decides, you know what? I'm going to take this game into my own hands. 63 yards, and they are up 28-12. There's only 5 minutes left in this game, and Castlewood needs to do something quickly to get within a score. So they go to their quarterback, Brandon Beneke. By the way, was a little banged up in this one, but look at the heart. Look at the guts. Running it in for a touchdown. They would go for 2. And again, the lofted pass into the end zone gets it done. They were only down by 8, but that's how it would end with just seconds to go. Castlewood can't get it done. And Wall, yes, Wall is still undefeated in the semifinals. Let's talk to their coach, Lex Heathershaw.
It's been a great season. As of this point, we're 10-0. We're really excited to see what happens down the road. We'll take it into next round, and our guys have had a goal all season to take it all the way. We really feel like we have a good shot, as good a shot as anybody. And as I've told multiple people, we have great respect for everybody, but we know what we're made of, and I think that was proved here tonight. Backs against the wall, and really proud of our guys, proud of our coaches, and if you weren't here tonight, pretty fun game to be a part of.
Very fun game to be a part of. Wall still undefeated. They are going to have to travel to Cologne, who had no problems with the defending champs, Coleman-Egan. Cologne, by the way, they've won by 40 points or more in every single game this year, but they play undefeated Wall, so 2 undefeateds in the semifinals. And then Burke played Faulkton. Faulkton advances to the Final Four, who plays Sully Buttes. And by the way, Sully Buttes is hitting on all cylinders right now. Cam Ogle getting it done. Jet Lamb back and healthy. Nick Whitler putting together maybe the best season in all of 9B. Shut out Kadoka area. And now they play Faulkton, who they played just a couple of weeks ago. And they won by just a few points, 50-12. Took it to Faulkton, hoping that they can do the same thing this time around. And again, all those semifinal games coming up next Friday night. So we're back on to Friday nights next week before we hit the Dome. Semifinal week, it doesn't get much better than that. And congratulations to all of those teams who qualify. When we come back, we haven't forgotten about you, North Dakota. Jody Norstead is standing by to tell you how the AAA quarterfinals went. And there's some really good teams in North Dakota. You're not going to want to miss this.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Avera Orthopedics, Farmers Union Insurance Agency, South Dakota State University, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live here on Midco Sports Network, where we take high school football very seriously. And I know you've been patiently waiting for the AAA results, highlights, reaction, and everything you can handle from Jody Norstedt in North Dakota. Jody, fill us in with this quarterfinal round.
I was just checking to make sure my mic was on there because, it's playoff time.
2 for 2. Is that 2 weeks in a row now that you've gotten it correctly?
Ace in the test. Let's get to these highlights, though, because we had some good games around the area. It was playoff football in 3A, but I say good games. A couple of them were blowouts, but let's start with what I thought would be one of the best games of the night. Mandan and Davies playing for the first time ever. This game moved to Fargo South's new turf because of poor field conditions at Davies. Braves playing in their first playoff game since 2011, and it wasn't very good for them. Brett Vetter scores from 3 yards out, 7-0 Eagles. Their second drive now, the opposite of the first. Forknell goes 69 yards down the sideline and right past our cameraman. He's a quarterback, but he's got some wheels. 14-zip Davies in front at the end of the first. Now Mandan trying to get something going. Dane Carlson did play in this game despite having a bum foot. He sat out the last 2 games. Ty Satter picks it off. Boy, he's having a big second half of the season. That's his 3rd pick in as many games, and it is a pick 6. His time expires in the first. A little bit winded, aren't you, Ty? And things just kept going Davies' way. This time it's Jaden Clavo for 65 yards. The future Bison rumbling, bumbling, stumbling into the end zone. And that sets up, just kidding, he didn't make the end zone, but that sets up Mr. Vetter again for his 2nd touchdown of the night. Makes it 28-0 Eagles in the first half. How about this guy one more time? Man, is he good. Ty Satter gets around the end. He just can do everything. Intercept the ball, receive the ball, return the ball, run over guys at the goal line. 34 yards on the sweep, 35-0 Davies heading into the break. In the second half, it's more of the same from Davies. Vetter, boy, he has an interesting dynamic to this backfield too. You got Balvich, Satter, and Mr. Vetter. 20 yards score, his 3rd touchdown of the night. Davies rolls into a matchup with the Demons next week and wins this one convincingly, 42-6. Satter had the 34-yard rushing TD, had the pick 6. Vetter with 3 TDs of his own, setting up a big matchup at Bismarck next week, but a big win for the Eagles.
Really, we just didn't back down. We played aggressive the whole game. We came at them right away. We didn't back down. We didn't play scared. That's really the main thing.
We think we've got the talent. We just got to put everything together. We come out flying the way we did tonight. We think we got a pretty good shot. We've had a couple four-quarter games this year that have prepared us for a tough battle in the semis. We're just really excited to get after them.
Davies with a statement win in the quarterfinals. The top seed in the East, West Fargo Cheyenne hosting Legacy, a team the Mustangs beat by 40 in the regular season. The Mustangs fresh off clinching their first EDC championship. This game was much closer than I thought it would be. Nathan Goldaddy, good start. That run game for Cheyenne is something else, makes it 6-0. Then it's Hunter Hoffner. Check out this aggressive, tough guy run. He gets into the end zone. It's 14-0. So the Mustangs feeling confident. Why not go to the air? Parker Sander, though, intercepted this pass, wrestled away by Carson Fetch in Legacy with a little bit of momentum going into halftime, trailing 14-0, though. Kick off the second half. Teddy Seidel, tricked ya. Onside kick, and they recover, and Legacy capitalizes on the possession. Rhett Clemens sneaks it in, makes it 14-7. And then a goal line stand by the Sabres, standing tall right at the 1-yard line. And they were fired up. Legacy hanging in there, really confident. They lost by 40 in the regular season. They want a better shot against the Cheyenne team, but the pass is tipped from Clements. Zach Rogers, the EDC's leading tackler, showing he can make some catches too. More from him in a bit. Mustangs get back to the ground. Hunter Hoffner, good luck trying to stop him. Stretches across the goal line. Hoffner in there again, 21-7. But Legacy answers. Here's your highlight of the night. This is a 9-yard touchdown run, but it's the prettiest 9-yard touchdown run you'll ever see. Clements escaping everyone. Who else wants a shot at number 4? And it's 21-14. But Cheyenne has the answer. Sander with a little bit of redemption. Caden Jastrom, try to grab onto my socks. Good luck. Cheyenne, with 9 minutes left, goes up 28-14. That was a 76-yard play. But Legacy again, like a gnat at a barbecue, they're just not going away. Clements to Patrick Doan, 22 yards for the score, cuts it to 28-21 with 6 minutes left. Then Legacy has the ball again with about 3 minutes left. They can come back and possibly tie it. away. Zach Rogers with another interception. This one really clinches it, seals the deal for Cheyenne as the Mustangs are victorious tonight. They will host a semifinal game, the first semifinal game they've ever hosted next week, and with a 28-21 win. It was not easy though. Hunter Hofter, 2 rushing scores, Caden Jastrom with that big catch. But as I mentioned, not easy against the Sabres.
No, we knew Legacy was going to be a really good team. They were a lot different than when we first played them, and we went into it knowing that. Knew it was going to be a dogfight.
We know every team throughout the year has gotten better, so we can't take any team lightly. We did our job. We had to capitalize when we needed to. It's amazing, but hey, we can't settle for this. We still have a long way to go, game by game. Go back to work next week and figure out what we got to do to win.
Now to their opponent, Fargo South and Bismarck Century playing for that right. Century the 2 seed. This one in the sunshine. A 4:30 start at the Bowl. The Patriots have won 3 straight quarterfinal games. They're the heavy favorites entering this one. Noah Selski finds the end zone early. Patriots up 7-0. Century strikes again, this time on the QB keeper, Cade Feeney. Man, he is an athletic quarterback. I know I've said that before, and I'll probably say it again, but number 10, pretty darn good. Design run, and it's 14-0. Patriots already scored 2 on the ground. How about one more? This time, Grant Anderson, number 22, flashing to the outside. 21-0 in the first quarter for Century. Fargo South ball, how about some trickeration to get it going? The pitch to Sibomana Enoch, who airs it out for Bless Flomo. That cuts the lead to 21-7. South finally something to cheer about. Late second quarter, Bruins looking to add some more points. Hansen to Flomo for the overhead catch. Boy, how about that play by Flomo? But they could not get it into the end zone. 4th and 19. They went backwards. Hansen sacked by Tanner Thorsness. Sack number 10 on the year for the UND commit. Patriots up 24-7 at the break. Then we go to the second half. Cade Feeney airing it out to Mason Langang. That makes it 31-7. Century starting to roll. Then it's Noah Skalski again. Puts a bow on it. 25-yard touchdown run, a big stiff arm to John Farr, and Century is moving on. They will take the trip to West Fargo Cheyenne next week. 45-13, your final 405 yards of offense for the Patriots in the victory.
It was a very senior-led game tonight, and seniors knew that this potentially could be their last game, so they got us really going in the first quarter, and we jumped out to a lead right away.
Well, we wanted to kind of, share the wealth a little bit. We knew that we were going to keep Nathan Kraft away from the offensive side tonight, and that kind of opened it up for Noah Skalski and Grant Anderson, and of course Cade did his thing, and I think the more weapons you have, the later you go into the season, the better.
Weapons, weapons, weapons. The final game of the night, a late start between top-ranked Bismarck and Fargo North. Spartans excited to be playing some playoff football for the first time since 2010, but not excited to see that. Matt Russell rumbling into the end zone. Makes it 7-0 Bismarck later in the first. Start of a big night for Isaiah Izzy Olsen here with the short TD plunge. It's 14-0 Bismarck. Second quarter, Olsen going to get the handoff, and it's just kind of fun to watch number 24 go to work, isn't it? Maybe not for the opponent, but boy, the kid has some world-class speed. 53 yards down the sidelines, 21-0 Bismarck. Olsen in the end zone again. North's offense suffocating all night. Bryce Just drags down Caleb Friddle in the end zone for the safety, so the defense can score for Bismarck too. Ensuing kickoff after the safety, guess who? You saw the number already, number 24, and you know what he's going to do with it. On come the Jets, and goodbye goes the Demons. 70 yards, 30-0 Bismarck. They're not letting up. North trying to get something going, not happening. Friddle throws it up for grabs. And against this Bismarck defense, not a good idea. They thrive off turnovers. Matt Trolley comes down with it for the top-seeded crew. Next play, Jared Hager runs right towards the camera and then runs right by it. This is still in the first half. It's 37-0 Bismarck at the half. Late fourth quarter, Will Madler throwing a nice ball to the end zone. Trolley, a spectacular catch. Are you kidding me? Keeps his feet in bounds. Nothing went wrong for Bismarck. Fargo North, great experience for a strong junior class making the playoffs, but this one was all Demons, lights out, 44-0.
Yeah, I thought our defense played great tonight. They had a great effort, and our special teams played really well. And offensively, we didn't play our greatest game, but we're going to go into next week, refocus, and get ready for the semifinal game.
You know, we always tell our players special teams is the most important play. You set the tempo. I mean, really you give us the yardage that we need for that next series, whether we're going 90 yards or whether we're going 50. So special teams are a really big part of our team.
Bismarck getting it done in all 3 phases. That's why they are the favorite to win the title. So here are your matchups: Cheyenne against Century and Bismarck against Davies. It's basically week 1 all over again. These 4 teams met in week 1. Century beat Cheyenne 21-14 in overtime in that game, and Bismarck rolled over Davies 48-19. So those are your previous matchups, setting up semifinal Friday next week. 2 tickets to the Fargo Dome will be on the line. Well, let's take a quick break, Jandy, because I'll be back and I'll be getting you set for Saturday's big action.
Little East versus West in AAA. That'll be fun. And like you said, you've got a lot more to set us up for, don't you?
Yeah, let's take a break and then we'll come back with that.
All right, sounds good. We'll be back after this.
Bye. So we have our Final 4 set in Class 3A. Cheyenne hosting Century next week, Bismarck hosting Davies. Tomorrow, it's everybody else facing do-or-die situations with playoffs going on in Class 2A, Class A, and 9-man. Brad Anderson from 103.9 The Truck and 740 The Fans' Chase Miller joined myself and our intern Zach Hoffner in making predictions on my blog this week. The 2 of them were also kind enough to give me a few minutes of their time to preview Saturday's action. So watch me do the quickest wardrobe change in the world. All right, eat your heart out, David Copperfield. Here we go. 2 familiar faces in the studio once again with Brad and Chase. Let's start with Class 2A, guys. Jamestown and Devils Lake are squaring off in a quarterfinal for the right to play top seed Shanley. All 4 of us picked Jamestown in this one. The Blue Jays won the regular season meeting 35-6. What will ultimately decide this game, Chase?
You know, Jamestown's playing a really good brand of football right now. Jody, you look at what they've done. 1-point loss to Fargo Shanley. You know, it was a single-digit loss to Central Cass. Their only lone really big blemish is Bismarck St. Mary's. But since then, they've been on a roll. They're getting a little healthier, I believe, going into this one. Where Devils Lake, they had to play St. Mary's and Shanley at the end of their schedule, so there might be a little beat up, which is why at-home rematch, I think the Blue Jays would just be too much for the Firebirds.
I think so too. That would set up Jamestown and Shanley in the semifinals. Some good drama there with both teams moving to Class 3A next year, and they played close games each of the past 2 seasons. The other quarterfinal has 3rd-seeded Central Cass hosting Turtle Mountain in the playoffs for the first time since 1990. The Squirrels, they're a skilled group though, Brad.
They are, and they're itching to the chance to be at home. They haven't had a home game, I believe, since the early 90s. I don't have confirmation on that, but I believe it's the early 90s from what I had talked to with Nate Lukemeyer. And you know, they jumped out early on during the regular season. They got a 21-0 lead at Belcourt when they faced them, and I mean, they've been able to get off the fast starts, which has been huge.
The winner of that one gets 2-time defending state champ St. Mary's in the semis. Now let's shift the conversation to Class A. Here's a look at the bracket. Both of you picked top seed Langdon Edmore Munich to beat Kindred. Oh, go figure. You picked the number 1 seed. I went against the grain with the Vikings. Tell me why I'm going to be wrong, Chase.
I just like what the Cardinals have maybe done this year. Brad hit on it a little bit last week about a young football team maybe playing over expectations. A rematch for the Kindred Vikings last season going up against Langdon, which they lost in the opening round of the playoffs. But Kindred, to your point, their 2 losses are to Carrington, a good football team, and to Hillsborough Central Valley, a very good football team. I just think the Cardinals have too much firepower. That's going to be difficult for the Vikings defense to contain ultimately in this football game.
The point I made, Michael Hall is a playmaker. We'll see what he can do against that team, but the sophomore's been really good for Langdon Edmore Munich, Simon Romfo in place of Jacob Delville from last year's team. Out of the 4 teams left in the West, who's the best, Brad?
That's a tough call. I like Velva. I think probably that Velva-Bowman County matchup's going to be really interesting. I just like Velva's experience. I like the way they play defense. Now they can make the long trip out west and try and get it done.
How about if there's one player in Class A that fans need to know about? Who is it for you guys? Brad, we'll start with you.
You know, back to Bowman County, I think we don't know a whole lot about them, but Swihovic, is that how you say the quarterback's name?
I butchered it enough.
Okay.
Jacob Swihovic, the quarterback.
But I think that's probably a name that maybe we don't know about because we don't know a whole lot about this team, but I'd say he's one that should get some attention.
I'm going to go with Josh Martinson from Milner North Sargent. You know, he had over 200 receiving yards against Carrington last week on the road in their win on touchdown. On top of that, he's a big frame, a big body, and he's going to have a good matchup with Hillsborough Central Valley's defense, because that's a game where you might have to throw for both teams to try to, you know, win that football game, because both teams can stop the run so well.
Two great playmakers on the field, Martinson and Oscar Benson for Kindred. I'm going to go with Caden Kuntz. Yeah, he's an NDSU commit, but I still don't think people are giving him enough credit for what he does on just a small amount of touches sometimes. He'll run the ball, he'll catch the ball. Last week, I think he had 2 rushes for touchdowns, a catch for a touchdown, and a kickoff return for a touchdown. 2 straight games with kickoff returns for scores for Caden Kuntz. Finally, let's remove 2 guys. You guys can stay here, but we're dropping down to 9 men. We had our predictions on our blog. I want to focus on that Oaks and Napoleon Gackle Streeter game, because Brad and Chase, you guys picked Oaks. Zach, my intern, and myself choose Napoleon Gackle Streeter with our predictions. Napoleon won the regular season game 28-7. Chase, what is it that Oaks needs to do to have to get the better of the Imperials this time?
It's the running game, right? It's Fedek and Weigel, what they can do on the ground, and that's the biggest deal. And then obviously at the end of the day, it's Logan Sell. If they can get Logan Sell rushing the football for Oaks in this football game, he's at over 1,100 yards so far on the ground, 15 touchdowns. If they can chew up the clock themselves and maybe get this to a 21-14 style ball game, and it's always tough to beat a team twice in the season, and I think that's why Oaks gets the job done on the road.
All right. Well, I know we all picked Thompson to beat New Rockford Cheyenne, but I'm not sure a Rockets win would surprise me all that much. The combination of QB Teddy Almaraz, playmaker Bo Belquist, that's been clicking for a couple of years now. They average 52 points per game. They're allowing 10 points per game. Brad, this is a really good New Rockford Cheyenne team.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of that last year when they made the playoffs. They won 1 game and then had a really struggle against Wyndmere Lidgerwood, and I think it probably wouldn't be a huge upset. You wonder the way they like to throw the ball. The weather's going to have to be pretty comfortable for them. I think, you know, the weather could be a big factor. And Thompson, you mentioned it too in the blog. Those guys they've been in a lot of big games in a lot of sports.
And they can do it anyway. Schwabe running the ball, Schwabe throwing the ball, Nick Reck in the backfield, they're dangerous. Can Shiloh hang with New Salem Glen Allen? The Holsteins have looked untouchable this year, Chase.
Well, this will go back to the Oaks Napoleon Gackle Streeter matchup. Tough to beat a team 2 times in the season. However, I think New Salem Glen Allen, the Holsteins have too much firepower with what they have. This is a team that I think is poised to maybe have a rematch with a Thompson, you know, in a championship game from what we've seen a couple of years ago. I think they're the class of the team out west, and they are my favorite to get to the Fargo Dome.
Shiloh's trying to change things up from what happened in the regular season to try to get the win. I just think the Holsteins are just too powerful right now. Last but not least, St. John at Ray Powers Lake. That should be a battle. I gave the edge to the Outlaws mainly because the Woodchucks have to travel so far. It's a 3+ hour away game, but this is a Woodchucks team that's pretty darn physical too, Brad.
Yeah, you certainly hope they don't have the bus legs for the first quarter or the first half. And if they can avoid that, you win that battle up front like that, and you can shorten the game up a little bit with limiting possessions, running the football, moving the chains. There's no reason they couldn't go out there, even though it's a long trip, and get an upset.
Guys, this is fun, isn't it? Playoff football.
Always.
Nothing better.
All right. Thanks for the time, guys. We'll chat again next week. And boom, I'm back. Well, let's go back to 3A before we send it back to you, Jandy. So here's the bracket. Cheyenne, Century, Bismarck, Davies. Cheyenne, I don't know. It was maybe a wake-up call that they had, so maybe this was good going into the Century matchup. They always seem to play better almost as kind of an underdog. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next week with Century come to town. The Patriots playing really, really well. And then Bismarck has been unstoppable. What will Davies be able to do differently that they didn't do at the beginning of the season? We'll see. Ty Satter's playing exceptionally well. Danny, it's going to be a fun Friday night coming up in Class 3A next week.
It sure looks like a Century Bismarck battle, but we've got some East-West balance, so I'm looking forward to a couple close games, hopefully.
Yep, let's hope.
All right, well, in our state, in South Dakota, in big class football, we're going to have some interesting semifinals as well. Rematch of the President's Bowl game where Roosevelt absolutely took it to Washington. This is when people thought maybe Roosevelt is the best team in the state. They went on a run at the beginning of the season, 29-0 shutout. But remember, in the regular season last year, the tables turned a little bit between these two teams. It got a lot closer when they played in the playoffs. I think that might happen again this year. And then on the other side of the bracket, O'Gorman and Brandon Valley, they played just a couple of weeks ago. And Brandon Valley absolutely took it to O'Gorman. But the way O'Gorman looked last week, scoring 76 points, I think we're going to have a couple great games. Well, next week we'll be back with semifinal football across North and South Dakota. Tom Neiman will be back. Jody Norris will be back. See you next week.